Welcome to Craig's Gun Channel. The late 80s and early 90s brought us a plethora of campy and schlocky sci-fi favorites such as The Running Man, Total Recall, and the RoboCop franchise. So what do all of these films have in common? Well, Arnold was only in 2 of them, so that's not it. A dark dystopian future where the rule of law has run amok? Well, that was true for all of them, but it was actually thinking of something a little more tangible. All of these films were set in a futuristic world and required a lot of work to design and represent what that future would look like. Also, they all had a need for weapons of the future. Luckily, there was a company that was creating those very weapons at the time these films were being made, so it made sense that the film's creators would just use off-the-shelf items wherever they could. So what were those futuristic wonder weapons? Why, they were the products created and developed by Calico Light Weapon Systems. A variety of the company's creations wound up in dozens of films of the time period. Anywhere a futuristic or exotic weapon was needed, a Calico would fit the look. Even Mel Brooks' Spaceballs used the high-tech future styling of these weapons. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at one of their offerings, the Calico M950. Calico got its start in 1982, known at the time as the California Instrument Company, which designed and built instrumentation for the petroleum industry. 2 of the company's principals, Michael Miller and Warren Stockton, had an interest in firearms and were working to develop a weapon system that utilized a helical magazine that they had invented. With the company's experience in tooling and engineering, they were able to develop their idea into a functional prototype in 1985, a 100-round helical-fed 22 rimfire carbine. Patents were filed for a variety of the technical specifications used in the design, and those were granted in 1987, with additional patents granted in 1988 and 1990 as additional development occurred. The company was renamed Calico Light Weapon Systems, and they released their first commercial firearm, the 22 rimfire M100 carbine, in 1986. Moving on from 22 rimfire, they quickly developed weapons for 9mm, and in 1987 they released the M900 carbine as well as the 950 pistol. While the rimfire versions utilized a straight blowback action, they opted for a roller-delayed system for the higher-powered 9mm. This is the same system as that used by H&K and their famous MP5 pistols, and it has a proven track record. This system allows for a much lighter bolt assembly compared to a direct blowback-operated one, and there's no complicated gas system to contend with. Subsequent years would see a variety of model designations come and go with differing configurations, primarily in the style of stocks and grip assemblies. One thing remained, however, the top-mounted helical design magazine, which was a hallmark of these weapons and is what set the company's products apart from their competition. The 22 rimfire version utilizes a central corkscrew-style spindle that rotates within the outer helical track of the magazine shell. A clockwork-type spring rotates the spindle, which feeds the ammunition around the track, moving it forward as it corkscrews around. The 9mm version is similar. However, the spacing between the inner spindle and the outer magazine shell allows for the cartridges to double stack within the interior, increasing the capacity. This helical design allows for an efficient storage of ammunition to be readily available with capacities of 50 or 100 rounds depending on the length of the drum. This compact, high-capacity design would be a natural fit for a select fire weapons platform, and the company did produce fully automatic submachine gun versions in an effort to obtain military or law enforcement contracts.
It's already begun. Calico Light Weapon Systems has begun a revolution in firepower. Based on Calico's internationally patented helical feed magazine, Calico offers an entire family of firearms that give professionals exclusive advantages in capacity, weight, and performance over conventional carbine and pistol designs. For delivering overwhelming firepower on target, nothing matches the 9mm firearms designed and manufactured by Calico. These top-loading, bottom-ejecting weapons are ideal for close-quarter operation, since ejected brass travels straight down. In select fire, the awesome power of the Calico weapon system becomes apparent.
However, no large contracts were ever procured. This example, an M950 9mm pistol, is one I recently acquired and is typical of their design. Let's take a closer look at its features. And of course, before working on any firearm, you need to make sure it's free and clear of all ammunition. The first step would be to remove the magazine. The magazine on the Calico M950 is right here, the drum, and it's held in place by 2 catches on either side. There's one here and one here. And to release those, you would simply just squeeze in. There's some little grip surfaces there on either side, and you'd simply push in on both of those and the magazine lifts out. As we can see, the magazine is free and clear. That gives you quick visual access into the loading port and the chamber area. So you just need to pull the charging handle back, and we can see that the chamber area is also free and clear. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the controls and features of the Calico M950. The M950 utilizes a helical drum magazine, which uses a clockwork spring to rotate the ammunition around, feeding it forward as it goes. As far as the firearm itself, it's an aluminum receiver, which has polymer, the forend, and then polymer grip. The front sight is adjustable for windage and elevation. There's two knurled wheels on either side. There's one here. This operates the windage, left and right, and this wheel operates the elevation. It's got knurling on the wheels to prevent rotation or to allow gripping surface. There's a little ratchet ball. You can kind of see it there. Right there, the little silver ratchet ball that engages in that knurling, and they have that on either side. The charging handle is on the left side. It is not ambidextrous, it is only on the one side. The safety is right here in front of the trigger, and currently it is listed as F for fire. Go ahead. Once you charge the handle, you can then put it on safe. Of course, you have the S for safe. And as I said, it is ambidextrous. It is on both sides. This is your bolt lock. It is a manual bolt lock. This does not lock open on the last round. There's no provision for it in the design. So to lock the bolt back, you would simply push in on this section here when the bolt's pulled back. And you can lock it there in a half position or all the way back like so. Then you push in on the front of the lever that would release the bolt. And as far as other controls and features, that's pretty much it. The rear sight is a rear notch that's located in the drum itself. It's got a little 2-dot arrangement there. This is the clockwork spring winding mechanism. Once you load the magazine, you would wind it up the specified number of times. This particular magazine holds 50 rounds, and as you can see, it's a very, very compact form factor. Now, there were some accessories that they made for this firearm. One was a front compensator or flash hider, and it was pinned on. You can see the little indentation in the barrel here where the pin would go through. I no longer have the flash hider for this. When I acquired the firearm, it wasn't part of it. They also make an attachment that hooks into the front hole there on this front sight tower, and then goes and clamps onto the barrel, and it basically suspends a rail in this section right here that would hold, you can hold a light or a laser. They also make a scope or a top rail assembly that would screw on over top of this, utilizing these screw holes here on either side, and then that would put a rail that would go above the magazine. Overall, it locks up surprisingly tight, which is a little bit of a surprise because it looks, in all actuality, the fit and finish is not really super great on these firearms. You've got, exposed, pins that it's just not finished well. The stamped metal, it looks, in all honesty, it looks kind of cheap. It's thin, and it just doesn't give you a whole lot of confidence inspiring as far as to how they are put together. And that was one of the main drawbacks that they had. for what they cost. You had the high capacity magazine. Other than that, you know, the styling was a little odd. It is overall, it's not super heavy, but it is awkward. Sling swivel mounts, which you can mount the slings on either side by swapping the bolts around. On the rear, the sling hooks up to that rear screw. You could swap it around to the other side to put the slings on either side. It is a bottom eject, so the magazine feeds the ammunition through this port right here. When you fire, it ejects out the bottom. Here's your disassembly pin. That single pin there, when you pull that out, the front fore end will slide off. This rear pistol grip assembly, this entire piece, will slide off as a unit, and then that allows you access into to the bolt and to the fire control assembly. And as we can see here, you have your up and down, and then your left and right. And as far as a sighting picture, as there were no military sales to speak of, Calico was reliant on civilian sales of their semi-auto firearms. The future styling, while appealing to many, was just as off-putting to others. Also, unfortunately, the firearms themselves had a spotty reputation. The magazines, the highlight of the design, were known to be problematic. However, I suspect that mostly has to do with operator error than actual defective items. Care had to be taken in reloading and specifically winding the relatively delicate clockwork springs to allow for proper function. Failure to do so would result in frequent malfunctions or permanent damage to the magazine. And while each magazine held a large capacity, they were very expensive, meaning obtaining multiples was a significant financial outlay. Due to all of this, wide distribution of their firearms never occurred, and their timing proved to be disastrous as well. The assault weapons ban of 1994 went into effect just a couple of years after the company was really starting to get off the ground. As one of the primary provisions of the legislation was a limit on magazine capacity to 10 rounds, a weapon system with its primary selling point being high-capacity magazines, well, they didn't have much of a chance. The company essentially disappeared, leading most to assume that they had completely closed. However, they never really did go completely under. Over the past few decades, they've been acquired and reacquired several times, and today it appears that they're still open, located in Oregon. According to their website, they still produce a line of firearms as well as accessories and replacement parts. I've reached out to them and will be ordering some accessories for this pistol, and I'll let you know how that turns out. I hope that this information is of value, and if you liked the video, I would ask that you hit the like button and subscribe if you want to continue to see more like this. I value your comments and feedback, and as always, until next week, stay safe.